Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of College Hockey Talk. On today's podcast, I'm joined by Colgate women's hockey player Noemi Neubauerova. Welcome to the podcast, Noemi, and how's everything going?
Hi, thank you. Thanks for having me. Things are good. Good to be here.
Well, your team's preparing for a national tournament run coming up. How is it? How's preparation going for that against Yale? And what's it going to be like to play Yale again? It's like the second time in a row, which is uncommon for ECAC teams because usually you play two different teams on a weekend. It's not like Hockey East or the WCHA where you play the same teams back to back.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting game. Like we just played them, so I don't know. I think they're going to come off really strong, and they have nothing to lose, and we're really excited to play them actually though. So I think it's going to be a good game.
Yeah, is it weird preparing for a team that you've already seen before? Like, how do you try to prepare for a team, I guess, that you've seen before since you kind of know what's coming at you? Or is it mostly kind of focusing on your systems and what your team can do to improve for the next game?
Yeah, definitely mostly focusing on our game. That's just kind of every time we focus on our game, we try to do that. But it's nice knowing, like we've played them a couple of times this year, so it's kind of nice knowing what to expect from them. And so there doesn't have to be too much preparation. Like you already kind of know. So that's definitely good.
It should be a good matchup because if I'm not mistaken, they beat you all the times you played in the regular season. And then when the playoffs came, your team ended up winning that game and obviously the ECAC championship. So what was kind of the difference you noticed between Yale in the regular season versus the ECAC championship? Like, have they changed systematically or are they basically the same? You just kind of figured something out.
Um, I have to say I was not here for the regular season games we played them, but I don't think too much has changed for them. Just from like watching the games, they're like working really hard, and I think that's what brought them success against us. Not that we were not working hard, not at all, but sometimes it's just a game, so anything can happen, and they took the two wins then we came back for the ECAC playoffs and got that win. But I mean, at this point, like we're all great teams, and so the games are going to be really, really interesting, definitely.
And obviously, this year's national tournament's going to be a lot different than last year's in the sense that your team's having a home, I guess, playoff game. How excited are you to play in your home ice for a national tournament game? The city of Hamilton is probably super pumped.
Everyone's definitely very excited. I'm super excited just being a senior, and like I know this is gonna be my last game at this rink, and it's nice that it's like this is like the last game that I could have played at the rink. So like we made it this far, so I'm really, really excited for it, just having home ice for the tournament. So yeah.
Now, your team also recently won the ECAC championship. I guess I should talk to you a little bit about winning that trophy. Just talk about the emotions your team was feeling after Calty got that OT winner, and just talk about that game as a whole because your team was down by a few goals, and then your team kind of clawed your way back in it and won it in overtime.
Yeah. Well, first of all, we've been having like a tough like losing, 1-0 and then coming back, or 2-0 with Cornell even. But we just kind of always knew that like we just got to stick to our game, and things will turn out good for us. And it's exactly what has been happening for a couple games now. And when Kalti scored the goal, like I don't think she even realized she scored the goal, and we just kind of saw it behind her. So we're like, yeah, like super pumped. Like the bench was just unreal. Like everyone just went to celebrate, and great feelings. Just, whew, yeah. Sorry, still getting goosebumps from.
How was it different, I guess, winning the ECAC championship this year versus last year? Obviously, with the four teams and COVID and everything, but did this one feel a little bit more special just because you're a senior and just the run your team had in the playoffs being some really good teams?
Yeah, definitely feels like it almost means a little bit more this year, just from like all the Ivy Leagues playing, and also it's my senior year, so it's like a nice way to end my college career here at Colgate with that. So for me, I think it meant a little bit more than last year. Yeah. definitely.
Now, talk a little bit more about your team's ECAC playoff run because you beat some great teams, including Quinnipiac, Cornell, and Yale, and two of those teams are ranked and will be in the national tournament as well. And just talk about those games, especially against Cornell, because Cornell gave your team a good run for your money, but Derek Gregg found a way to get that OT winner in game one, and then obviously your team got the job done in game two, and then you beat a really good Quinnipiac team that obviously beat Clarkson in their previous playoff series, and then obviously beating Yale like we just talked about. Just talk a little bit more about that playoff run and just some of the teams you beat and just how you kind of handled all the challenges that those teams brought you.
Yeah, it's a really good question. What can I say about it? At that level, like being in playoffs, it's like every team is just really good, and it's really hard to win those games. Like, I don't even know how to say this, but it means a lot. Like you gotta be patient with the game. Like I said, we were down like one or two, or it was 0-0 the whole game against Cornell. So you gotta be kind of patient, stick with your play, and what's supposed to happen is gonna happen. And Dara found freaking way to put it to the net, and the crowd was wild. We were so pumped. And but like I said, like every game on this level, it's a hard game. Like nobody's gonna give you anything easy, and it showed that all the games are very even. So
Yeah, it seemed like you got a good student section in that game against Cornell because that was awesome seeing them bang on the glass after that OT winner. How did it feel being on the ice and hearing that support, especially since you missed that last year?
yeah, it was unreal. Like the glass was just like bending over us like crazy. It's really nice that just anyone who came to support. And I don't know, it's nice to see, like especially with COVID last year, like you said, like it felt really empty. So now it's so much more fun. I feel like playing too because you have all of the support. So great feelings.
Now, what's it like playing in the ECAC and just the competition you face every night? Because last year you only played 4 or 3 teams, and I feel like you played like Clarkson like all the time last year. That's just the way it felt.
Yeah.
And now this year with the Ivy League backs, obviously you had that experience your freshman and sophomore year, but just talk about the conference and just the teams you play, especially since the ECAC has the most teams in the national tournament this year.
Yeah, I was about to start with that we do have I believe 5 teams now in the NCAA
Yeah.
tournament for the TACs, and it shows a lot that like we're a good conference. And I think sometimes like we as a conference, like ECACs get kind of underrated.
Mhm.
Um, but we've been just like really popping off like all the teams. So congrats to all of us, I'd say. And I don't know, I think we're a really good conference. And like I said before, like playing those playoff games, like every game's so hard. So it's good being in that league where like anything can happen, and like it's really good games and great experience. So it's great.
And obviously it helps prepare you for big games in the playoffs in the national tournament because you're basically going against top-ranked teams almost every other weekend. So that must really help
Exactly.
their preparation for this game against Yale since you've been in those spots before in the regular season.
That's a really good point. Definitely. Yeah.
Now, your you have few new players in the team, and that's one thing I really like about your team this year is just some of the girls that you brought in and just the impact they've made. Just talk about the freshmen that joined the team, and of course, Dara Gregg, who is a great transfer addition to your team as well, and just what have they brought to the team, and how have you tried to help their transition into the Colgate women's hockey culture?
Yeah, they're such a fun group. Like such a fun group. So many characters in that grade. And um I think they like the transition for them to our team from high school was pretty smooth, I'd say. I know we as a senior grade and just as the whole team tried to just kind of like invite them in and everything, and they're great. And like they don't care, they're freshmen, like they're going for it, and I absolutely love it, like on and off the ice. And they say their opinions and whatever they see, and it's really great to have like people like that on the team. So amazing, great to be brought in. And Dara, like, what can I say? Like, definitely a character too. And like, she's putting up points, having a huge impact on our team. So we're really happy to have her on our team. And yeah, I don't know what else to say to it.
Yeah, I feel like she was in the top 5 in like ECAC points at some points in the regular season. So it was good to see just the improvement she's made to her game from last year with Wisconsin to this year with Colgate.
Definitely. Yeah.
Now, talk about being a senior. What's that like, and what type of leadership have you tried to bring to the team? Are you more of a vocal leader? Are you lead by example type of player, or do you just kind of just try to be your own self, and the leadership comes from that?
Um, I guess I'd say I'm not a big talker usually. So I guess I try to lead by actions. I don't think I really think about it. I just kind of try to do my own things and have a positive impact on the team. And so I don't know. I'm just trying to do things that are like good, not bad. Like I don't know, when on the ice when there's sometimes it's a little like chippy and like whatever, so you just kind of try to get your teammates out of it with so we don't have penalties and stuff. And so I tried to focus my energy on that more. And yeah, it's such a weird thing. Like when I think about myself as a freshman and now as a senior, and oh my god, it's very different. I used to be like very intense, and now I calm down a lot. So yeah.
You think that calm down factor has helped your game a lot just because you're being a little more disciplined on the ice, and that's helping your offensive and defensive part of your game as well?
Definitely. Oh, 100%. I used to get really mad at myself too when I made a mistake, and now I just take it with more I guess it's the experience, but now I just like don't even think about it, and I just go out and like play. So it definitely helped my game a lot to be more calm.
Yeah, and just talk about how was your senior year, I guess, compared to your other 3 years with Colgate, especially this year, just because you're kind of in and out with Colgate with just doing the national team stuff, so it's a little bit different of a year. Then obviously you have that year of the COVID year, I guess I'll call it, under your belt. So that was kind of a unique year. So kind of two unique situations that you were in your junior and senior year. So how would you kind of evaluate senior year and how it's been going for yourself personally as a player?
Yeah. Uh yeah, these 2 years, very, very unusual years for me. COVID, obviously, that speaks for itself. We did play Clarkson many times. It didn't just seem like it. We did play them many times. Um, but yeah, this year it's been really good as a senior. I do feel like I've missed a lot when I was in here. I was not here for almost like 4 months because I was with Team Czech and in Czech Republic just practicing. And I don't know, but coming back, I don't know, I have this like new energy, and I'm really confident in our team, and it's just really good to be back. And I'm trying to enjoy my senior year as much as I can now. So it's good.
What was the transition coming back to Colgate after the Olympics? Is it kind of a tough transition just because you have to get back to kind of the student athlete schedule, or was it kind of an easy transition just because, being an Olympian, you have such a grueling training schedule just on that alone?
It was different. I feel like at the Olympics it was kind of a whole like different world. Like I'll talk about that maybe later, but and you have to come back to school, and you actually have to do school a lot, and you have to get back into the routine of like practices here and school and doing your work and stuff like that. So not that it wasn't like that hard for me to transition, but it's still like I felt a little lazier to do much when I came here,
Mhm.
to be honest. But overall, pretty good. Good transition, I'd say.
Did you have to do any schoolwork when you were in Beijing, or did you kind of try to do all of it before so you can just enjoy that experience?
Technically, I was supposed to be doing work, but
Mhm.
and I thought I was gonna be able to, but it was a lot more time consuming than I thought, and energy consuming and everything. So I just gave up on schoolwork, and I apologized to my professors. I was like, I'm really sorry, I can't do it. But they were very understanding of it. So now I guess now I'm trying to catch up more to what I've missed. So yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of a great excuse, though. I'm at the Olympics. Not many people can say that. So that's it. I would take that if I was a professor. Like, I'll let that slide.
I have to say they're like really nice. They gave me a hug when I came back. So I was like, okay, I guess we're good.
That's good. That's good. Well, I want to transition now and talk about the beginning of your hockey career and kind of work all the way up to where you are now with Colgate. So you're from Praha, Czech Republic. Talk about growing up in Czech Republic, and how'd you start playing hockey? Because talking to one of your national team teammates, Sammy Kolorat, she was saying how in the Czech Republic, hockey is kind of like the national sport there.
Yeah, very true. It is tough when you're a girl though, because it's not really the same as the States or Canada, how like you grew up playing with girls. In Czech, especially at the time when I was starting it, there were literally like no girls teams or anything. So I had to play with the boys and up to high school. And it was definitely an experience, definitely. But I think also gave me a lot, just because it's I think it's faster and a little different, and I think I like still benefit from it till today. But yeah, I don't even know how I started. I was 6, and in kindergarten we went skating, and I liked it, so I just joined like the hockey club there. And one of my friends I played with for the Czech national team, actually, she's 5 years older than me, and she was like the best one on the team there at the club. So I was like, oh my god, I want to be like her. So and then we were actually on the same line at the Olympics for a bit too, which was kind of funny. So I guess that's how I started. Sorry, it's a little chaotic, but
Yeah, who was that teammate that you played with when you were just started out? I'm just curious.
Kateřina Mrazová. She actually went to UMD.
Oh, nice. That's cool. I'm assuming you didn't get the chance to play against her at all just because she had a 5-year age difference.
Yeah. I would say not unfortunately, she's really good. So not unfortunately, I did it.
So that's good. So it's a good thing. That's good. That's good. But yeah, no, that's really awesome to hear. And just who was your favorite player growing up? Like, was it David Krejci, David Pastrnak? I'm just thinking of Czech players on the top of my head. I know a lot of people like Yager. Or was
Yeah.
it just someone else who wasn't even from the Czech Republic?
Yeah. No Czech for me. It was Sidney Crosby.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yep. I even had like a sweatshirt that I like custom made with like his name and number. Really embarrassing. But yeah, definitely Sidney Crosby was my favorite.
That's awesome. I feel like most people who are my age, like either love Sidney Crosby or love Ovechkin. It's like one of the two. Like
So
you
true.
pick the side. I was an
Yep.
Ovechkin guy, so I apologize
Oh,
for that. But I was
okay.
happy he got that cup in 18. So even though Crosby has more, I was happy he got that, and I was happy he got over the hump. And just seeing the celebrations after he won that cup was pretty awesome. So more of an Ovi guy, but I obviously respect Crosby a lot.
Cool.
Now, talk about the teams that you played with before heading off to the gunnery. Just doing some research on this. You played for a team called HC Kladno. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Very good, actually. Yeah.
What'd you take away from that team experience playing in the Czech Republic for that team? And just talk about what it was like. Was it a co-ed team? Was it just girls, or was it a boys team and you were the only girl on the team?
So it's actually kind of complicated, but I did play for Kladno, but that was actually a women's team in
Mm-hmm.
Czech, which the league in like the women's league in Czech, it's more of like a beer league. So I just kind of did it as like a why not thing. But my like primary team was actually Hece Hvězda Praha, which was a boys club, and I started somewhere else. I started outside of Prague, but then I moved to Prague, so I played there for like 5 years. But yeah, so I played Hvězda, I played Kladno. It was interesting. I played at Kladno. I actually played with girls that were like, I don't know, I was probably like 10, like 12, something like that, and they were like 35. Like it was insane, but I had a lot of fun, and it was it was kind of like a good beginning playing with girls to just kind of feel out like the team
Yeah.
dynamics, because I wasn't really used to it, because with guys it's very different. So I think it prepared me well for the gunnery, I have to say. Yeah.
Yeah. Is it weird being 12 years old and having like a teammate that's 30? Like, how does that dynamic work out? Because I'm assuming the teammate that's 30 years old can't do or say some of the stuff that they normally do when there's like a 12-year-old next to them.
Yeah, it was. I definitely like I'm thinking of it in like the best light possible. It was so much fun. I feel like I was like their kid. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's how it felt like more. And they were very like respectful and would like if like I actually once this we played against this team and I got punched in the face by like a 28-year-old, and like I was just like, what did I do? Like, because I was so young, and so my teammates like stood up for me and stuff, and so it's like, or like a big sister and like little sister type of relationship. So it was really good.
Yeah, and that's kind of a messed up move to punch a 12-year-old in the face. I don't know who
Yeah,
that was. No,
I
I don't.
haven't done
I
anything.
know. I know. If I know hockey sometimes get in the heat of the moment, but I feel like you would at least recognize not to do that. So that's
I know. It was, that was tough go for me, but it's okay.
What was it like playing boys hockey? Was that fun being like the only girl on the team, or was it kind of tough? But it must have built a lot of character since it's a very physical. Boys hockey is usually a little more physical than girls hockey.
Yeah, it was. Although I feel like at that time when you're this young, like I was taller than most of them, so like
So
I
you're
was
the
like,
one
sure,
throwing off
hit
the
me,
pucks.
like it was fine. It was fine. But it was very different when I started playing outside of Prague. I would get along with the boys really well because we like started together. We were younger and stuff. And then when I moved to Prague, that was probably like fifth grade or something. It was a little more tough because they already had their own like little crowd, and I was the new kid and a girl. So everyone was like, "Oh my God, what is she doing here?" And like sometimes it was really tough. Like I like, oh my God. Like sometimes you're like hazed a little bit, I'd say.
Hmm.
So you kind of have to build like a tough skin, which is definitely helped me in like college and high school and just in real life. So I appreciate it, although sometimes it was a little too much, I have to
Yeah.
say. But yeah,
Well, I guess like I don't know. It's probably not the best thing to be hazed, so I'm sorry that you had to go through that. But hopefully the rest of the experience was better than that.
it wasn't bad.
Now you went to the gunnery right out after your time in the Czech Republic playing for all those club teams. I'm curious, how did you get the opportunity to go to a prep school in the U.S. and what made you want to leave the Czech Republic and go to the U.S. and kind of take the college hockey route?
So just studying and playing hockey in the US was I know something me and my parents would talk about a lot ever since I started playing hockey, just because there's not really future in women's hockey in Czech. And like I kept hearing about like US having like school and hockey connected together, and I was like, oh, that sounds kind of cool, you know? So I don't know, I was pretty young, but I had that in the back of my mind, like, oh, that's something I'd like to do once. And then we actually ended up going with the boys club to Pennsylvania to play like a tournament. And this one person from a prep school in Pennsylvania was like, oh, like, let's get in touch, whatever. So we emailed a couple of times, and I was supposed to go to that school. And then that didn't work out because my English wasn't good. So then I tried to apply to a different school that like he recommended, the coach, and I emailed them and we started talking, and that was gunnery, and I ended up going there actually. So worked out well for me.
Yeah, how'd you kind of handle being far away from home for the first time, and how'd you handle the language barrier as well? How long did it take you to kind of get used to English, I guess, since I don't know if you spoke it fluently before, but how'd you get used to that, I guess, having it being the main language, I guess?
Yeah, it was pretty tough at the beginning. I knew the basics of English, so like I could have a conversation. But school, that was like reading and homework, I was pretty lost the
Mhm.
first couple months, I have to say. But the teachers are super understanding and they would just help me a lot. And so it ended up working pretty fine. But it was kind of hard. Like I was 14 and I left, and you just kind of have to learn to like start taking care of yourself. And so, and I wasn't really used to that. My mom would like literally do everything for me. So it was a good life lesson to leave at that age, I think. But I definitely don't regret it. It was the best decision I've ever made.
You also probably built up some maturity for you at a young age, not being at home and kind of learning a different culture. I guess how'd you handle the homesickness when you were just started off at the gunnery?
Yeah. So my mom actually stayed for like a month, like outside somewhere, just because I've never visited the gunnery. Like my mom was like, I can't just let you go somewhere where we've never been. So she just kind of stayed by for like a month to see how I'm doing. And when I was like, oh, like I'm good, you can, go do your things, she left. But it was, the first year was definitely kind of tough. Like I had just with like the cultural English differences and stuff, was sometimes I thought like I didn't really fit in and everything. And so it was a little hard freshman year, but you just you make new friends and it's all good.
Yeah. What's the biggest cultural difference from the Czech Republic to the US? Like, is there anything that we do here that you find kind of odd?
It's like a hard question now because I feel like I've been in the States for so long. But one thing, this is like really not like that deep, but when I came here, everyone was wearing shoes inside the house,
Mm-hmm.
and that surprised me so much. I was like, "What is going on?" Like that's legit. I don't know if it's like everywhere, but like
I think it's some places. I usually, it depends on like the certain, I guess it, like I don't wear shoes in my room, but like other places in the house, I might wear some. So it really depends.
interesting. Yeah, that's like still like mind blowing to me.
Yeah. I wonder how that kind of happened, to be honest with you. I don't know. It's just like there's certain things like I just don't want to wear my socks in. So that's why I just keep it like in some hallways and stuff. But in my room, I never wear my sneakers. So I think there is still some like, I guess that, I don't know. I don't know how that happens, to be honest with you. I think it just depends on where you grow up and stuff.
Maybe, probably. I could see that.
Now, talk a little bit about your experience at the Gunnery. What's like the best memory you have there, and who are some of the players you got to play with as well? Just because I know a few guys from the team I cover. One of them actually went there, so I thought that was pretty interesting.
Oh, can I just ask who?
Mark Gacombe. I don't know if you know who he was, but he plays for.
Yeah. Doesn't he play for UPenn now?
No, he still plays for UConn. Actually, he's a
Oh,
senior.
sorry, UConn. I meant that, not UPenn. Yeah, yeah, UConn.
So he went to the Gunnery. I just thought that was interesting. So
Yeah, he did. I remember him. I was really like kind of a weird kid in high school, so I didn't talk to like the cool kids, the hockey guys too much.
mm-hmm.
I had like my own little world, my own like little friend group from the women's hockey, but I definitely remember him. But yeah, Gunnery was overall like really, really great, really fun, great experience, and I'm trying to think of the best memory. Honestly, just anytime we would have games, like I would just love hockey. So like anytime we'd have games, but we also had, it was called Clash of Colors. It would be in the end of the year when seniors would graduate, and then when you like move up a grade, you'd wear like the grade colors and you'd like battle as grades against like each other and the professors or teachers. So I guess that was really fun. Like that a lot.
Yeah, well, my school did something similar. Like every homecoming,
Mm-hmm.
each class had a color, and you had to wear that
Yeah.
color to the pep rally, like on
Mhm.
Fridays, and like you did different competitions and stuff. So,
Yep.
well, I just remember I found it fun in high school, but now it's just like I don't know why I cared so much about it. It really wasn't that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things.
No, I definitely same thing. We were like really into it, and now I'm like, oh, what was I thinking?
Yeah, so it's just funny to look at the photos from like your freshman year to your senior and just how much you've changed. So it's that's like the funniest part about it to me.
Definitely, I agree. Yeah.
Now, talk a little bit about your recruitment process to Colgate. What was that like, and what made you want to go to Colgate versus other schools that you might have looked at?
Yeah. So I actually committed sophomore year, and to be honest, I like it was my second year at Gunnery, and I had no idea about like how recruiting process really works or college. Like I had no idea like anything about that. So I was just happy like some schools reached out, so I would like be like, oh, like sure, let's go visit or something. And I don't know, when I visited Colgate, I really I felt like I don't know, I was used to Gunnery just being really little and like kind of in the middle of nowhere, and that's what Colgate is too. So I think I like that, and also just the communication with coaches went really really well, and I really felt like they cared about me and wanted me here. So I think that was like the most persuasive thing that got me to come to Colgate, and just talking about like the program and how they want to build it, and just be better and better every year. And I think they really stood up to it. Like now being in the NCAA tournament again is pretty big. So I definitely, I'm glad to be here.
You probably saw that when they made the national championship game a few years before you went there. That must have been cool for yourself to see that.
Yeah, definitely. That was my senior year of high school. So after I've committed, so it was nice to see that, like, oh, they're actually, the coaches are actually like saying stuff that and going through it. So it was nice to see, definitely.
Does that make you more anticipated to go to college when you see that? It's like, man, I wish I was on that team just so I could have that experience.
Yeah, I was a little jealous. I was like, ooh, like that's exciting. Like I wish I went a year earlier or something. But
Yeah.
but just overall it was great to see that, like when you see this, you're like, oh, like I'm going to that team next year. So it was nice to know that like you can accomplish something too when you get there. So
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I know a lot of schools have like a player give you a tour of the school. Who was the player that took you around Colgate? I'm just curious.
Annika Zalewski, I don't know
Hmm.
if you know.
I
Yeah.
do not know who that is, to be honest with you.
She graduated the year before I came.
Oh, that's awesome. That's pretty cool though, because I like to hear that because I think that's very interesting just to because like you usually don't think of like your class with that class just because you never play with them. So I think it's kind
Yeah.
of cool that there's some sort of mix up with it.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And she was like super nice, and I was like, oh, this is perfect. Like it was great. So yeah.
You still talk to her or not really?
Yeah, she actually last year I was in isolation because I had COVID, of
Hmm.
course. And she doesn't live too far, so she's dropped off like some candy and snacks for me. She comes like
Oh,
pretty
that's
often.
nice.
So yeah, so it's we're all kind of in touch, even if you graduate, so it's nice.
That's awesome. Well, what was the biggest adjustment you had to make to college hockey? Was it the speed of the game, physicality, the adjustment with academics in school? Like, what in your mind was like the toughest adjustment you had to make to college hockey?
I'd say probably the combination of like school and hockey was really, really tough for me because you kind of come here with, or at least I came here with like, oh, like hockey in my mind, and then I was just kind of ignoring school, and then it started to show, and I was like, oh, like I gotta do both.
Yeah,
When in high school I was just kind of going by like, with the school and just focused on hockey, and I've learned from it. I care about school now, I promise. School and hockey, obviously. But that was, I think, the biggest like shock for me when I transitioned from high school to college.
now, in your sophomore year, you got to play in the Nutmeg Classic. The reason why I asked that is because I thought it was a very interesting tournament because you get to go down to Connecticut, a place that you've been to before, but you get to play teams that you normally don't get to play. So I
Mhm.
wanted to ask you, what was that experience like for you playing in that in-season tournament your sophomore year?
Yeah. Honestly, I have to say my memory is like really bad, but like I remember bits and pieces of that tournament, but it was cool to, like back in Connecticut, just play that. And I don't know, just it's always fun playing teams that are outside of your league, just because like there's this like excitement that like you don't really know them and you don't know what to expect, while like
Yeah,
in the he's like, kind of. So I don't know, it was fun. It
yeah.
was good. Yeah.
Was it nice to get back to non-conference games this season after not having it last year?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think I had a couple games before I left, but I think Minnesota was one of them.
In
It's
Nashville. That must
nice.
have been fun.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't in Nashville. I think we did play Minnesota before though, too. And
Yeah.
then in Nashville, I was watching the whole
Mhm.
Nashville tournament though, so it was really exciting for Colgate hockey there. But yeah, it's always fun playing teams outside the conference, just because you get more of an idea to like how the conference looks there. So yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of disappointing that you didn't get to Nashville just because it looked like your team had a very fun time there. Just from some
Yeah.
of the stuff, especially I love the pregame outfits before the game. Like I would have loved to see what you would have pulled off in that.
Yeah, the hats were very popular.
Oh
100%.
yeah, Sir
Um,
Dockney had the best hat in my opinion.
yeah, yeah. She's got a great style, I have to say, Dax.
Yeah.
Definitely. She's got some interesting outfits, and
Mhm.
she can pull them off, so it's amazing.
Do you try to emulate some of her style as well? Because I know some
Good.
players don't want to admit that. Do you try to like copy some of her style as well? Like I know some players don't like to admit
Um,
at some
I
point.
don't think I could pull it off, to be honest. Like she's got it, but I don't think I could pull it off. So I like the hats.
Yeah, the hats
Hats
are awesome.
even outside of Nashville, hats are pretty popular. So I like that look too. But I usually don't go with anything too crazy. I just kind of, I don't know, it's kind of like classic, classic things. Nothing too
Yeah.
like,
Well, I saw your outfit from last weekend. It was posted on the College Hockey Talk pregame outfits of the weekend. And I was gonna
yeah.
say it looked very good. So shout out to you for that. I really enjoyed that outfit.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So, but no, I thought that I will have to give your team a shot for that. I thought the outfits for that were awesome. Everyone had great style on the team. It's pretty awesome to see. So
Yeah.
I think it's cool when you dress really nicely and then you go out and score like 2 goals. It's like that's the biggest boss move in my opinion. To just
Oh, 100%. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And we have teammates that like this style. Like Ali Simpson's got like a really cool like zebra jacket.
yeah.
She can pull it off too. So we definitely have some good style in the team, I have to say.
Yeah, no, I think you have to. You look good, feel good, play good, and I
Ex-
think that motto is true. Like people try to knock it, but I think it's a real thing.
No, I agree. I go by that 100%.
Now, getting back to your career with Colgate, I just want to ask you about your junior year because obviously it was an interesting season because of COVID. How did you and your teammates kind of handle the challenge of playing hockey in a pandemic? And I guess like how did you handle it mentally as well? Just not having fans, being kind of isolated from your teammates. That must have been a challenge on its own, not just the whole hockey part of it.
Yeah, a lot of restrictions obviously last year, just outside of hockey, like just school wise, and also just during like games and practices. And it was definitely very interesting and really weird. It almost like didn't feel like college hockey just because not that the games were not good, but if you play the same open opponent like 100 times, it gets like, you're like it gets also very like intense because you just play them all the time. And so it was very, very weird, but I think we handled it well as a team. Like we've had meetings, we talked about it, we got together as a team, just to like know that we're all in this together in this situation. And I think we handled it pretty well. We did win ECACs, even though there were like all the Ivy Leagues in it. But what can you do? You just gotta play, and we did, and it worked out. But it was a really weird year, and I'm happy we're past that now, and then we can actually have a good season this year and like a normal season. So glad that my senior year feels like we're back to normal,
Yeah.
definitely.
And is it weird, I guess, not having the Ivy Leagues last year? Like, did you miss them at all? I know they're big rivalries, but like, it must stink not going to some of those cool stadiums that they have.
Yeah, it was really weird not playing any Ivy League games, to be honest. And just because like Cornell in the past has been like a big rival, and oh my god, I can't speak English. Rival, got it. um, and it's yeah, it's like there's teams like it's good hockey that we missed, and so it's good that they're back and feels normal.
And something else that was introduced last year was during the overtime. I want to ask you, like, as an offensive player, that must be nice to have more open ice and more offensive opportunities in overtime situations in the regular season. I was just curious what your thoughts on the new overtime rule was, just because you experienced the old overtime rule your freshman and sophomore year, and then having it switch your junior year. That must have been kind of exciting.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's more like fair almost that way, although it can take longer to score. But I like it personally. I think that's a better way to go about OT. Yeah, I mean that's really like all I got to say.
I like it because it eliminates ties, and I can't stand ties. I think that's the worst part about any sport, in my opinion. So that's one reason why I like it. Plus,
Yeah,
it's like more entertaining to watch too. Like, I'm sorry, it's not fun to watch boring 4-on-4 hockey when they're just icing the puck and it's boring. So I
yeah,
like how there's a little more action with the 3-on-3. And I know some coaches aren't the biggest fans of it, but to be honest, I completely disagree. I think there's times where you should try to make the game a little more exciting for the fans to watch.
I agree. Yeah, you have a lot more just open space to
Mm-hmm.
skate into, and yeah, it's a little more dangerous too. But I mean, you're right. Like,
Mm-hmm. Well, I think
it's
it also highlights like some of the elite players' skill level too. Like it's kind of cool to see some of the best players in college hockey with that open ice and space and seeing what they can do with that. That's another reason why I like it so much.
yeah, a lot of creativity, definitely. Yeah, yeah, I agree.
Now, talk a little bit about winning that ECAC championship your junior year. I know you said it wasn't as special as your senior year because it wasn't your senior year, but it must have been nice to win on home ice, though, nonetheless, and to make it to your first national tournament experience.
Yeah, no, definitely. At that time, it was huge. It was huge for all of us, just because never before Colgate actually won the ECAC league. They tied with Clarkson, I believe, the year before I came, but we never actually won it. So it was kind of nice being part of like history being made. And like you've never like now that I've won this year too, it obviously this one's gonna feel a little more important, but that
Yeah.
doesn't mean that the last year one doesn't count. Like it's still a big deal. And being, making it to the NCAA tournament was really huge. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, but there's another year and we're ready. So
Yeah, you're out for revenge, I guess. So
yeah.
what was that game like against Duluth? Because it was a very defensive battle, but their goaltender Kaylee Osborne played fantastic. So talk about that game from your perspective, and how are you using that game, I guess, for this year's national tournament run?
Yeah, we knew it would be a hard game, and Kaylee did absolutely amazing. She's a great goalie, and we were really lucky to have her in that. And um yeah, I don't remember like the details of the game just because I tried to forget it to be
That's a good
completely
thing
honest
sometimes.
after.
Yeah.
But it was a close game, and then unfortunately they scored that one goal, and that's what decided the game. But I think it's a good experience to go through, and not saying I'm happy we lost, but it does kind of prepare you for the feeling like it sucks and you don't want to feel like that again. So I think it's gonna help us this year, hopefully.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
want to ask you about the Olympics for a little bit, just because that's a really cool experience. Not many college hockey players get to say they played in one. So first off, talk about qualifying for the Olympics and what it meant to you, especially since it was the Czech Republic's first time qualifying in women's hockey for the Olympics.
Yeah, that was an absolutely unreal experience. I've never played like any games with Team Czech in front of this crowd. Like we've had so many people just watch us there in person, also on TV, and it was amazing. Like I don't know, it was the first time we've ever qualified, and again, like being part of such a big thing it means the world to me because I don't know, like it almost is like we inspired all the like little girls that play in Czech that don't get the support as much. So it felt really good. That and also just for all of us, like each other, the team, like we've put in so much work that it finally felt like it paid off. And the whole tournament was a lot of fun. We enjoyed it. We were very confident in us, and winning it was just like the cherry on the top of the cake. So
Yeah, and you've had the opportunity to represent your country in various tournaments, but what's it like representing your country in the Olympics, just because it must have a different feel to it?
yeah, so the different tournaments are very exciting too, I have to say.
Mm-hmm.
But the Olympics, it's the best out of best, like all the athletes in the world, and that's I think the coolest part is you see not just the best hockey players, but the best athletes in the world, and you get to be around them. And it was such a special moment. And the Olympics, it's once every 4 years, and I don't know, just like being there representing my country, my family, and even Colgate, like it felt really good to make it there. And it's something you dream about as a kid when you start playing. So really, it was really amazing. Yeah.
Now, what was your Olympic experience like, both on and off the ice? Have you kind of fully processed what happened? And is it cool to be called an Olympian now whenever people introduce yourself for interviews and stuff like that? That must be pretty cool.
It feels kind of weird. I honestly have to say I think I still am processing all of it. But I don't know, like people calling me an Olympian, like I think they do it now on purpose because they know it like makes me really awkward and weird. But I don't even like really realize it like completely, and I don't know, but it was such a great experience. I don't know. I don't even know what to say. Sorry.
Have you updated the bio yet? That's got to be a cool thing to do. Olympian, along with Colgate.
I don't think I did unless I had like a blackout and did it, but I definitely like posting pictures and stuff and just anything that happened at the Olympics, and some TikToks were posted too, and that was really really cool and fun. And it was just like a completely like different world there, maybe with COVID too, just because we were more isolated and stuff. But it was great.
Did you get to see any other Olympic sports besides hockey, or did you only get to see hockey just because it was very limited with the fans that were allowed in the building?
I did see a lot of men's hockey. We went to a couple of the games there. We were actually able to watch other sports. Uh, I almost went to speed skating and curling, but there was like something with tickets, and we thought we needed tickets that we didn't have, so we didn't end up going. It was after that I learned that we could have gone, so I was like, well, darn it. But we did go to Big Air, which was absolutely amazing. Like those people are absolutely sick, and it was one of the coolest like experiences besides just hockey, you know. So that was really cool to see, definitely.
Yeah, is Big Air like snowboarding, skiing, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, snowboarding, they just like jump and do a cool trick and land. So
Hmm.
I don't know how to do it. It's insane.
Yeah, I've never snowboarded or skied in my life. I played
Really?
hockey for my entire life, but I've never snowboarded and skied, so I find that kind of funny. But no, there's this guy named Red Gerard. He's a Team USA snowboarder, and he's like the coolest dude ever. He's like from California, has long hair, has kind of
Yeah,
that bro vibe to him, and I love watching him snowboard. He has some great tricks that he pulls off.
that's so sick. But I think I actually heard that name there too. But they're all like it's like a completely different mentality among them too. It was really really
Yeah.
interesting to see. A lot more like chill vibes, and just kind of like I don't know. It was really interesting to see.
Yeah, I feel like most hockey players are very intense and focused, and
Yeah,
snowboarding is like the complete opposite. It's very laid back.
exactly.
So that's something I kind of like that because I know there are some laid back hockey players like Trevor Zegras, but like it's
Yeah,
kind of rare to see it. But like if for snowboarding, basically all of them are laid back.
I agree, definitely.
Now, what was the opening ceremony like? Talk about the village. I was just curious about that experience. That was the opening ceremony. Kind of looked cool when you got to enter. It looked like kind of like a movie.
Yeah, that was just oh my god, I still have goosebumps for it. That was like one of the best experiences of my life. Just like you're like kind of getting ready to go on stage, and you see like a little bit like the other, you know, countries like walking by, and then when it was like time for us to go, you just kind of walk from this like not tunnel thing, but like this like whatever entrance, and then you start to see like the huge rings that were just up there like light up, and so you're like, oh my god, like that's when you're like wow, like I'm here, and like just people like waving, and you're there with your teammates and other people from your country, like the athletes, and it was oh it was really cool. It lasted so it was so short, but like it was amazing.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you get to do that experience again. Obviously, it's very tough to be Olympian, but I'm confident in your playing abilities and the hard work that you put in every day that you can get back to that spot in 2026. So,
Thank
but
you.
congratulations on making it to the Olympic. That's a huge accomplishment. So shout out to you for that.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Now we're now in a segment I like to call the non-hockey segment, where I ask you some non-hockey questions just to get to know you a little bit more off the ice. First
Sounds
one is obviously you got to play in the Olympics. So, what is the greatest sporting event in the world? Is it the Olympics or is it something else?
I'd say the Olympics. I think that's I've like used to watch it when I was little, and that's what you like dream for when you're growing up playing hockey or any other sports. I'd say the Olympics probably.
I'm saying the Stanley Cup. I just think it's a fun.
Oh, of course.
I gotta say Stanley Cup just because that's so much fun to watch. But besides the Stanley Cup, I always love watching the World Cup. I think it's
Mhm.
cool. Like it's hard for countries to get into it because I think it's only like 32 teams can get in. And oh no,
Mhm.
it's a fun tournament. I'm not the biggest like soccer fan, but I still enjoy watching that when it's on TV in the summers.
Fair. That's definitely fair. Well, if you take it from this point of view, then I'd say Stanley Cup too, probably.
Yeah,
But if I take it from like my own experience, like I know I can never play like for the Stanley Cup, you know.
yeah.
I guess for like from that standpoint, that's why I would say the Olympics.
hmm I feel like it's just the cup, just Stanley Cup, just because it's every year and it's like super intense. I don't know, it's just good hockey. Like you're never going to get a bad game in the Stanley Cup, so that's why I really like it a lot.
I agree. Hmm.
Now, this is kind of a personal question, but I thought this was kind of funny. So, are you and Rosie Demers the best duo in college hockey?
I'm a little biased, but I'm definitely gonna say yes.
Because I had her on the podcast and she said you're like one of her best friends, so I had to bring that up. So, shout out to her for that.
Yeah, we consider ourselves the ESLs of the team, English as a second language, and now being on a line with her has been absolutely amazing for the past 2 years, and we have great chemistry off ice and obviously on ice. So yeah, I'm biased, but I'm gonna say yes.
Yeah. Now, we were obviously talking about how your team has some of the best style in women's college hockey. So my question is, who has the best style on the team? Is it you? Is it someone else? Like, it's hard to pick, to be honest with you. There's a lot of good options.
Ooh, definitely not me. Definitely not me. But this is hard. I'd say I would say Sir Dacne
Yeah.
probably up there. I'll say top three in my mind. Sir Dacne, Ali Simpson, and I like Maggie's style too, Maggie McEachran. So
Yeah. I think Serdachny has great style. It's awesome, like I said, like walking in with such great style like she does and then scoring like 2 goals like she can do is I think
oh
it's
yeah,
a boss move. So that's why I have a lot of respect for Serdachny just because she pulls off great outfits, but also kills it on the ice as well.
that's amazing. Yeah, I agree. She can do both, definitely.
What were your thoughts on her? Like, I heard that she had the most assists in like program history in a single season or something like that. I was just curious what your thoughts on that. That must have been cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, she's an absolutely unbelievable player, and it's like I'm so happy she's on the team that she came and helps us so much. She's such a big part of the team that we're so happy to have her here, and she's you can tell like just with that accomplishment, like the most assists, like she's not a selfish player, and yeah, she's there for her team, so it's great to see that.
Who's the funniest on the team?
Again, biased, but I think everyone else is gonna agree with me. Rosie Demers, 100%.
If there was a movie made about your life, who would you want to play yourself?
uh, it's a great question. I don't know. I'm just gonna say I love Zendaya, so like, why not?
Yeah, yeah, that's a good. I don't know. That's kind of similar to my answer because I usually say Tom Holland just because like I know they were both in the Spider-Man movies, but like I feel like he's the only actor that looks somewhat similar to me, even though we look nothing alike. But we're the same height. That's why I like him a lot. Like
Okay,
he's like 5'8", I'm 5'8" too. So I really enjoyed that. So shout out to Tom Holland for being, I guess, not at the tallest, but always with the biggest heart. I think that's awesome.
that's amazing. Yeah, I love that. Oh,
So next question is, if you had a theme song for whenever you scored goals, what song would you pick? Like, what would you be your goal song?
uh, oh my God, I don't know. So every time I scored, what
Yeah,
would be
they
my
play a song. What song would that be?
probably "Hot Shower" by Chance the Rapper.
That's a good song. So
I don't know why I love that song. So
that's a good one. That's a good one. So, and then final non-hockey question is, which teammate is, oh man, actually there's no more non-hockey questions. I apologize for that. So gotta edit that out, or I'll leave that in there. I'll show people that I'm not the best interviewer at times, but back to
no,
some
don't say that.
hockey questions now. First one is, what advice would you give younger players who are trying to pursue a career in college hockey?
I'd say probably like lower your expectations with how much like you were able to do in high school. I don't know how to put this, but like from high school to college, you're usually in high school, you're usually the best player on your team. And then going play college hockey, you're playing with like the best players who were, players who were also the best players on the team. And so that could be a little challenging to accept it. And so I'd say come in with like an open mind to it, and be patient, because maybe you don't get the opportunity to play as much as you want or something, but it will come, like just with hard work and just being persistent, it's gonna come, and the experience too. Like, so I'd say that.
And then what should be done to help grow women's hockey, in your opinion, especially in countries outside of the U.S. and Canada? Just because I know that was kind of a conversation topic from the Olympics.
Yeah, that's a great question. Kind of a hard question to answer, but definitely like we know that like US and Canada are somewhere else with women's hockey, and just like the development of women's hockey from a young age. And I'm gonna speak from my own experience in Czech, like having no girls league really. It's hard. You either have to at like the high school level, you have to keep playing with boys, but then it gets harder because it's like different bodies, and so you either quit or you have to leave somewhere else, like to the States. And that's a great development for us, definitely. But it's hard if your country doesn't provide that like development piece. Like it's really hard. So what we, even with the topic at the Olympics, was help the growth of women's hockey in Czech and in Europe. It's at that point you just have to prove yourself by like playing well. There's really nothing else you can do than show, like bring more people in from fans or the hockey federation or anywhere else to like see that women's hockey's good, and like we're not, like we're good and we put in a lot of energy and time. And so that's really the only way to show yourself. So you got to again be patient with it, because like Czech, it took us so long to like, oh my god, like 4 tries for the Olympic qualifications, and we made it. And I can already feel like the huge impact we've had on Czech when it comes to women's hockey. And yeah, that like just, you really got to just show with the way you play, honestly.
That's a good way to end off the podcast. But before we get to that, do you have any shout outs you have to your family members, teammates, friends? I know we mentioned a few of your teammates in the pod, but if there's anyone we forgot to mention, feel free to shout them out now. Or if there's someone who doesn't play hockey that you want to shout out, feel free to do that.
uh Probably just my whole team. Like, let's go. Sammy Colbrat, she was on the podcast, so shout out to her. Why not? We're good friends. I don't know, family, definitely
Mhm.
family. Gotta include the fam. And yeah, just anyone who supported me ever. Thank you, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Naomi, for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to myself. I'm a huge fan of yourself, and I'm definitely a big supporter of yourself. So it's been fun watching you play with Colgate these past 4 years, and it was fun watching you play at the Olympics. I had a fun time watching you compete with the Team USA in the semifinals, I believe, or quarterfinals. So
Yeah,
definitely a fun game to watch, and you're a great player and a great person. So thank you for coming on.
thank you so much. I really appreciate it.